Greetings, mathematicians and mathemagicians and measuring investigators. Today we are in math. Our goal is to explore how to measure length using centimeters on our ruler. So, centimeters, that's how you spell centimeters. The E makes the C sound like an S, and then C-E-N-T, you know that that is how we spell cent, like cent, the penny is worth 1 cent. Centimeters. All right. And centimeters are part of the metric system, which, as I explained yesterday, is the way that most cultures in the world measure length as well as other things. So it's good for us to learn how to measure in centimeters, because a lot of the times when we're working with people from other countries and other cultures, when you grow up, a lot of the times when you talk to people from other countries and other cultures, when you're talking about length or distance, they're going to be talking about centimeters and meters and kilometers and things like that. So you'll learn about meters and kilometers or kilometers and other parts of the metric system when you get older. But in first grade, we wanted you just to become familiar with how to measure with centimeters as well as in inches. So yesterday we did inches, and I showed you on don't tell Mrs. B, but I'm using her beautiful pink ruler again. And so yesterday we worked on the inches side. So today we're going to flip our ruler over, and it should say cm, which is the abbreviation for centimeters. And we talked about how just if you look at the ruler, you can see that the distance between 1 inch and another, which is like from 11 to 12, that's 1 inch. That's about the same as almost 2.5 centimeters. So roughly 1 inch is about 2.5 centimeters, which means centimeters are small. 1 centimeter is about half of an inch, a little bit less than half an inch. All right, so it's kind of good to just know that centimeters are smaller than inches, but it's the way most of the world measures length. All right. So today, to measure centimeters, you're gonna need this paper, which hopefully you have printed off from the lesson plan. That's gonna be our practice sheet, Measure at Home. You're gonna need this paper, which is the one that I'd like you to work on after you've practiced and gotten a good feel for how to measure with centimeters. And you'll need your ruler, and then also your Big Red Math book. Not because we're not gonna open up the Big Red Math book, we're just gonna measure it, just like we did yesterday. So let's practice measuring centimeters on our Big Red Math book. So first, let's start out having the Big Red Math book be not bathtub, but shower. So if it's shower, it's looking like that. We're going to measure the top of it when it's shower. So, like we said yesterday, one of the tricky things is to make sure you're starting at 0. On this ruler, 0 is not at the beginning of the ruler. 0 goes in a little bit. So you have to see if there's a 0. If there's a 0 on your ruler, that's where you start. The other centimeter ruler that I have, it's also pinkish, but it's not metallic. So there's on this one, it also does not start at the end of the ruler. You have to go into where the 0 part is. But many rulers, most of the ones that we have at school that you would have used, the zero starts right on the edge of the ruler. So check your ruler, make sure you're starting at zero, whether it's on the edge or whether there's actually a zero line slightly in from the left edge. All right, so we always want to start at zero and then make sure the edge of your ruler is pretty close to the edge of the top of the book so that you have a straight line. You don't want to be at an angle, so you don't want to be doing this, because if you're doing like this, then you're at an angle and you're not going to get the right measurement. You're actually measuring the length from the corner down to here, but we want to measure the length from the left corner to the right corner. And so we got to make sure the whole ruler is straight and touching the right corner and the left corner, starting at zero. So when we do that, our first try gets really close to 22. 22, 22, 22. Why is that a special number? Oh, yeah. 22 is a palindrome, another point for first grade. All right, so our first measurement is 22. But is that our final answer? Remember Mr. B's rules for a happy and successful life. Measure not once, but twice, then answer once. So the reason we do this is because it's easy to make a mistake. It's easy to move the ruler on accident. So let's see if we get 22 the second time. So take it away. Take a deep breath. Ready? All right. Get that out of your system. Come back. 0 to 22. Yep, still pretty close to, it's actually like 21. It's actually halfway between 21 and 22. So when it's halfway between a number, usually we round up to the higher of the two numbers. Like you could say 21 or 22. We usually go with the higher number. So we're going to go with 22. All right. Now, why do we have to measure twice and answer once? Well, because when you're measuring things, a lot of times you're measuring things for important reasons, like maybe you are doing a science project and you have to measure things accurately. Maybe you are, when you get older, you might trim or adjust your clothes a little bit. Sometimes you can do that, and you have to use a tape measure to measure your clothes to get them the right length. Well, if you make a mistake and cut them too short, then your clothes will be ruined. My father is a carpenter, and I used to work for him when I was younger. And a lot of times we would have to measure the length of a piece of wood to cut, and wood is expensive. You don't want to make a mistake. At least you don't want to cut it too short. It's okay to make a mistake one time, but then check it and measure twice. And if you come up with two different answers, then measure thrice. Make sure you've got the right length before you cut something, because if you cut something, you will basically, if it's the wrong measurement, then it's not useful to you, and the money that you spent on whatever you cut is wasted. We don't want to waste money. So that's one reason we measure twice, answer once. All right, so let's move our Big Red Math book bathtub style, and we'll measure across the top. Okay, so of course, always feel free to hit the pause button to follow the directions and then hit play again. So make sure your left corner is right at 0. Your right corner, whoa, just past the 27. That's my first measurement. All right, Measure twice, answer once. So I'm going to bring it up, step away from the edge. All right, take a deep breath. Okay, try again. Zero on the left edge. All the way up. Yep, still 27. So I got the same answer twice. Now I know that's probably the right length, 27 centimeters. All right, so that's two examples of how you measure length with centimeters. All right, so you can put your big red math book off to the side, and I'm going to put this nice pink sticky note off to the side so it's not in your way. All right, so now please take out your measure at home paper. As always, we write our name and number at the top. Okay, and let's see. First, we're going to measure the pencil. All right, so take your ruler, put the 0 at the very beginning of the eraser. We're going to measure from the eraser on the left to the tip on the right. It looks, our first measurement is, our first estimate, our first hypothesis is about 10. Measure twice, answer once, pull it away, step away from the pencil, Mr. Ruler. Take a deep breath. Okay, put the ruler back. 0 to 10. Again, it's 10. All right, I got the same answer both times. There's a good chance that's the right answer. All right, so then it says about. It's not exactly 10 centimeters, but it's close, right? It's really close. But if you wanted to be really technical, it might be just a little bit shy of 10 centimeters. So 10. So you're going to write a 10 in there. Okay, I'm using marker just so that you can see better, but you should use pencil in case you have to erase. All right. Looks like a nice big nail. All right, put the 0 on the left-hand side of the nail. All right, the right hand side of the nail comes, wow. Where is that point? I'm going to move it up here to see where that point goes to. All right, looks to me like it's just shy of the halfway point. Hold on a second. All right, just shy of the halfway point. So we want to measure twice, answer once. So step away there, Mr. Ruler. Take a deep breath. All right, let's try again. Yep, just shy of the halfway point. So here's a good rule to follow. If it's less than halfway between the 6 and the 7, or between the two numbers, if it's less than halfway, go with the smaller number. If it's more than halfway, go with the bigger number. So it's a little bit less than halfway between 6 and 7. So I would say 6. Okay, so scientists and engineers and doctors and builders and people who use numbers, when they are trying to use a whole number, but their measurement is between two numbers. If it's less than halfway between, they'll go with the lower of the two numbers. If it's more than halfway, they'll go with the higher of the two numbers. That's another rule for a happy and successful life. All right, here's a Band-Aid. We're going to measure, put the 0 on the left side. And it looks like it's between the 5 and the 6 on the right-hand side. And there is your halfway point. So it's a little bit more than halfway. So, all right, that's our first measurement. Okay, Mrs. Ruler, step away. Take a deep breath. Measure twice. Answer once. Still between the 5 and the 6 and more than halfway. So what do you think, 5 or 6? Okay, still going to be about 6 inches. Okay, so now when you look at the nail and the Band-Aid, you can tell just by eyeballing them that the nail is a little bit bigger. Remember, the nail was more than 6 centimeters. The Band-Aid was a little bit less than 6 centimeters, but they're both about. That word "about" is really important. They're both about 6 centimeters. The nail was actually a little bit more than 6 centimeters. The Band-Aid was a little bit less than 6 centimeters. They're both about 6 centimeters. All right. So I'm going to let you do the spoon and the comb and the straw on your own. And then at the bottom of the page it says find more items to measure. Draw the item in the space below and write the measurement. So if you want, you can find something and trace it into the space, or you can just draw it, measure it with your ruler, measure twice, answer once. Uh-oh, here's Mrs. Bennett. Don't tell her I'm using her pink ruler. Hi. Okay, I will be there as soon as I'm done measuring with the first graders. I'll be right there. All right, so first grade, before I go talk to Mrs. B, I'm just going to explain the hand-in paper, the centimeter paper. You're going to write your name and number at the top of the paper, and then use the centimeter ruler to measure the rectangles, the twig, the orange, the peanut, and then at the bottom it says circle the longest pencil, put an X on the shortest pencil, and circle the pencil that is about 6 centimeters long. When you're done, please have your mom or dad send me just this paper. You don't have to send me this paper unless you really want to. So have fun measuring centimeters. I'm going to go see what Mrs. B needs, and then I'll come back and we'll do some literacy together. Take care, first grade. Thanks. Bye.